will take over now.
जयश्री स्विच ऑफ कर दूं मैं अपना वीडियो?
जी सर, जी मैडम
started. Kindly check them.
Yes, ma'am.
Indeed, ji, please check.
Yes.
Kindly check whether this is live on YouTube, please.
yes sir, live,
It's live now.
yes.
Yes, we are live. We are live.
Can you share the YouTube link please on the WhatsApp group?
Shall we start the video? Nice.
Please ask everyone to mute.
Habib sir, can we begin?
Yeah. Just check up if we are live on the social. Have you checked up?
We are live.
Yes, sir, we are live.
There's lot of echo.
And this link I have sent it to you. YouTube link I have sent it to you.
Yes sir.
I request everyone to kindly mute themselves. Sir, welcome.
Good evening.
Flying kites.
Yes, I'm on my terrace. How are you, Mr. Bhushan?
I am fine, but I am muted.
चेंज भी करी चेंज करी
पतंग बंद
ला हाँ कर सकते हो अभी तो अभी कॉन्फ्रेंस नहीं पीपल आर वेटिंग
Jayashree, can we start?
Yes sir, we can begin.
Yeah, please start.
A very good evening to all our guests, Honorable past Presidents of Council of Architecture, Architect Professor Uday Garkari, Architect Professor Vijay Sopani, Architect P.R. Mehta, members of the Council of Architecture, members of the Executive Committee, jury members, and dear participants. It is a great pleasure to be with you here today evening for the awards declaration function of the COA International Essay Writing Competition 2020. I would request now the President of Council of Architecture, Architect Habib Khan sir, to please welcome the guests on behalf of Council of Architecture.
Good evening, all of you, all the jury members, participants in the essay competition, winners, and my executive committee members, Vice President Sapna, past presidents, Professor Uday Gadkari, Professor Vijay Soni, Architect P.R. Mehta, and Mr. Naik could not join us because of some engagement of the Independence Day. And it's an honor and a pleasure to have you all with us. And we are extremely, extremely happy and are thankful to all of you for contributing in this mammoth task that we had put to ourselves. And we didn't realize that we will get such a phenomenal response to this competition, essay competition. We feel that essay, dialogue, and debate are a very important part of any profession. And we have initiated dialogue on the COA Social, and we initiated the essay writing competition on the TRC. And very soon we will be having a debate competition, because I feel these two, the essay and the debate, are arts or skills which are losing their importance and losing their place in the society, in the architectural world. But I was pleasantly surprised when we got a phenomenal response to the essay competition. We didn't expect that we'll be having such a phenomenal response, and I'm so thankful, and I'm very happy that this art and this skill of classical way of writing an essay is still alive in our younger generation, especially. And I welcome each one of you from the bottom of my heart, and I am thankful to all of you for being a part of this phenomenal process. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Habib sir. We now proceed with the function. It is a great pleasure and privilege to be here before you, and I would like to now present to you the detailed report of the COA International Essay Writing Competition 2020. The competition was initiated by Honorable President, Council of Architecture, Architect Habib Khan, on the theme Role of Architecture in Nation Building. The intention was to motivate the students of architecture and young architects to think progressively and pen down their thoughts in a cohesive manner to help the architecture fraternity to engage in the task of nation building. The competition was conducted in two categories, that is the students of architecture and young architects. The response that we received to our call for entries was overwhelming, and we had literally to tighten our belts to tackle the job of assessments to arrive at the three best entries in each category. The process of assessments would not have been easy without the dedicated involvement of the several eminent and experienced architects, practitioners, and educators from all parts of the country who formed a formidable panel of jurors. We had with us on the panel Professor Akhtar Chauhan from Mumbai, Architect Amarjan Nimbarkar from Kolhapur, Professor Anil Nagaraj from Mumbai, Professor Aniruddha Paul from Mumbai, Professor Anu Mridul from Chandigarh, Dr. Anuradha Chatterjee, Architect Apurva Bose from Bangalore, Professor Devang Parekh from Surat, Professor Fatima Kabir from Baramati, Dr. Gauri Shulkar from Pune, Architect Jeet Gupta from Chandigarh, Dr. Jyoti Lakshmi from Chennai, Professor Kartik Mohan from Trivandrum, Dr. Madhumita Roy from Kolkata, Architect Mona, Dr. Pingel from Auroville, Architect Nilab Nagar from Mumbai, Architect Pallav Mukherjee from Chandigarh, Professor Pinky Shah from Mumbai, Dr. Poonam Verma from Goa, Professor Pradnya Chauhan from Mumbai, Architect Prashant Kaur from Bangalore, Professor Radhika Nagpal from Chandigarh, Architect Rakesh Kushwaha from Bhopal, Dr. Rama Subramaniam from Bangalore, Dr. Ranjini Bhattartripad from Thrissur, Dr. Ravindra Deshmukh from Pune, Professor Ritu Deshmukh from Mumbai, Dr. Rupa Raji Gupta from New Delhi, architect Sabrina Khan from Rajkot, architect Sandeep Pethe from Nagpur, architect Sangeet Sharma from Chandigarh, Dr. Shashi Bhushan from Mysore, architect Srinivas Murthy from Hyderabad, architect Suha Kopatkar from Mumbai, architect Sushant Verma from New Delhi, architect Ujan Ghosh from New Delhi, Dr. Ujjwala Chakradev from Nagpur, Dr. Vaishali Latkar from Pune, Dr. Vishakha Kautekar from Bhopal, architect Vivek Gupta from New Delhi, and architect Yatin Pandya from Ahmedabad. It was a formidable panel and they were dedicatedly helping us to take over the assessments of the entries that we had received. For the final jury, we had architect Gemini Mehta from Vadodara, architect Madhav Joshi from Pune, architect Neelkant Chaya from Ahmedabad, architect Rahul Mehrotra from Hangar, architect Shirish Bedi from Kolhapur, and Dr. Srivatsan from Chennai. At this point of time, I would like to express my deep gratitude on behalf of the Council of Architecture's Training Research Center to all the esteemed jurors for the valuable time that they have spent for assessment. And they have been continuously giving me inputs and observations on the entries that we have been sending to them. And it has been a great learning experience for us at the TRC as well. A total of 926 entries were received under both the categories taken together, and of these, 894 entries were from Indian participants and 32 were from international participants. Before commencing the process of assessment, each entry was screened for completion of the submittal requirement and checked to ensure that the identity of the author was in no way revealed. Thereafter, each entry was allocated a code number and the process of assessments commenced. Broadly, jurors were expected to rate all the essays received by them on the basis of organization of the structure of the essay, argument, content, and clarity of thought, evidence giving examples with sources and significance, and mechanics, that is the style of writing, language, grammar, etc. These evaluations were conducted in three stages. At stage one, we had 31 jurors to identify the top 70 entries which were to be taken to stage two. At stage two, which had 10 jurors, each entry was assessed by three jurors independently. The jurors were not aware of who else was assessing the entry, and the marks allocated by them were averaged together with the marks obtained at stage one to arrive at the best 10 in each category. The stage three, which was the final evaluation, had 6 jurors, and each of the 20 entries was once again assessed independently by 3 jurors, and the average of all the assessments was taken to identify the top 3 essays and 1 essay deserving special mention in each category, that is the student and the young architects. The first prize in each category carries a cash prize of 25,000 rupees plus a certificate of excellence and an interview or a video clip to be posted on COA Social. The second prize in each category carries a cash prize of 15,000 rupees, a certificate of merit, and an interview or audio clip to be posted on COA Social. The third prize in each category also carries a cash prize of 10,000 rupees, a certificate of merit, and an interview or video clip to be posted on COA Social. A special mention for one essay in each category carries a certificate of appreciation and an interview or video clip to be posted on COA Social. Here, I would like to announce that architect Shirish Bedi from Kolhapur has announced a cash prize of 5,000 rupees each to the essay which was selected for special mention in each of the categories. I would like to inform the winners that the respective certificates will be sent to them by email on the address registered with us, and the cash component of the prize will be credited to their account the details of which we would be requesting them to share with us very soon. All the participants who have sent an entry to this competition will get a certificate of participation. This will be sent to them by email on the address which is registered with us. I would now request Architect Habib Khan, President Council of Architecture, to please introduce the 6 jury members of the final stage to the audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Jayashree. Before I introduce and ask the jury to speak, we are all honored by the presence of our past presidents. I would request Architect P.R. Mehta ji to kindly say a few words. Mehta ji, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm there.
Please, we would like to hear something from you.
Oh my God! I thought I'll hear from all the jury members and maybe some distinguished participants. Anyway, first of all, I would like to congratulate you and TRC and the entire Council of Architecture that these kind of initiatives are being taken. And this is the second time I'm participating in a function you have organized, and it is my good luck that at both the occasions it is the excellence which is in focus. So it encourages me a lot that the aim and the idea and the initiatives you are taking, they would bring about talent. So it is the process of unearthing talent in different aspects of architecture and architectural design, writing, and so on. And beyond that, more importantly, the younger generation as to what does it think about whatever issues which are being placed before them. So I think I would be benefited by the thinking of today in the process, and I'd like to enjoy it. So good luck and all the very best in these kind of initiatives. And please go on. I think this is wonderful.
Thank you.
At my age to look at the thinking of today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It has been our endeavor to involve all the past presidents and all those who have been involved in the council to make them feel a part of the whole exercise, take your advice, and work with cooperation, inclusiveness with everyone. Thank you, Mehtaji. Thank you for addressing us. We also have our past president, Architect Vijay Soni, Professor Vijay Soni, with us. So we're honored to have you with us. Would you like to say a few words? Vijay sir? I think there might be some connectivity issue. Professor Uday Gadkari is having some connectivity issues, so he probably will be joining us a little later. Mr. Naik couldn't join, Biswanjan Naik couldn't join us because of some official engagements on the Independence Day.
Soni sir has sent a message a couple of minutes ago that he was unable to hear.
Right. So as soon as we get him on board, we will ask him to speak. Meanwhile, it's my honor to introduce the jury members to all of you. I will request after the introduction to kindly speak very briefly on your opinion of how the experience of the judging was. I am honored to introduce Architect Madhav Joshi. Is that you, Vijay sir?
Yes, I think he's speaking.
Yes, please. Vijay sir. I think there is some audio or connectivity issue.
Soni sir, we are not able to hear you. Both his audio and video are on.
Yeah, there is some problem. I think just send him a message that as soon as he gets a good connectivity, we'll ask him to come back.
Sure.
I'm honored to introduce Architect Madhav Joshi.
Hello.
Madhav graduated from BKPS College of Architecture, Pune, and did his urban planning from IIT Kharagpur. And he established his practice, Madhav Joshi and Associates, which he established in Pune in '98. And it's a hub of architectural creativity that explore new frontiers of contextual modernism as a consciously adopted approach rather than a style. He has designed projects ranging from hotels to high-end residences, housing, IT, and corporate offices to institutional campuses. His inspirations of architecture can be often traced back to his native place, Vai, a temple town on the banks of River Krishna. His architecture is austere in expression, yet rich in experience, straightforward in approach, yet profound in meaning, and international in spirit, yet rooted in its context. Madhav Joshi has won many awards for his work, the most notable ones being all the JK awards that are possible on the framework. The JK Cement Green Architecture International Award in 2010, the JK Cement Architect of the Year Award in 2011, JK Cement Indian Architecture Commendation Award in 13, JK Cement Green Architecture International Award in 2015, Tata Tiscon Rays Award 2012, IA Award 2019, AESA Award 2019, Artist in Concrete Award 2011, 12, and 13, and CWAB 2.0 Awards 2016, and many more. You can see in the background where Madhav is sitting, all the JK trophies and the awards are lined up behind. Welcome, Madhav. We will be honored to share your experiences with us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah. So, should I? This has been a very interesting engagement in the academia, so to say. I've been on and off academic circuits for various assignments, if you call them, but it's been always a learning experience to engage and have conversation with students at large. Now, this initiative by Council of Architecture is very commendable, and as rightly put by Habib earlier, the skill of writing is very much there and among the youngsters, and the way they have sort of portrayed their thoughts and argued their point of view in various sort of write-ups that they have written on the topic are very insightful. For example, I mean, there was one sort of essay I would like to sort of refer to, and coincidentally, probably I'll be announcing the very name of those authors. As students of architecture, you are sort of trained to design buildings and edifices, mostly sort of sponsored and patroned by the state or the corporate or the formal sector or formal domain of the economy. But and often rest, which is in the non-formal domain, it's considered not architecture to some extent. But that myth, that perception, or that notion stands challenged once you start understanding the facets of architecture. And when you, for example, I mean, it's a very popular notion that the slums in cities are considered as visual blind, but no more. I mean, people and the fraternity has come a long way to understand the role of non-formal sector in the economy. If you have to talk about the urban sector as well, urban milieu. So there is one interesting thesis who sort of dwelled upon this reality, and they term that as a faceless architecture, and how significant it is to sort of value and understand the contribution of the non-formal sector architecture, which is mostly sort of brought about by self-help, people's participation, common, and not necessarily with any intervention of informed architectural professionals. So I think that is a very interesting take on the topic, and I would like to congratulate the team who have sort of put forth this idea. But also, I mean, they took that premise and they sort of stayed on that aspect only, and without touching many other facets of nation building role that architect can play. But nonetheless, it's worth taking note of. And I think all this, as they put it, like primitive interventions, which is an everyday phenomena, like design happens every day and every field of life. So it's important to recognize the parallel streams of intervention as far as architecture is concerned. And maybe you can recognize a nation by the contribution of that particular stream. So that is the argument they have put forth, and I really appreciate the way they have captured the thought in their essay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madhav. And thank you for taking pains to assess all the entries and going through them in detail. It's a pleasure to introduce architect Shirish Beriji. Architect Shirish Berry's work, which tend to reflect his values in life, have dealt with his issue of sustainability since 1975. They strive to address his life concerns of man moving further away from nature, from his fellow human beings, and from his own self. He feels that issues of sustainability can be aptly addressed only through the right attitudes and goals. His designs try to achieve an inherent sense of unity and harmony with various natural and man-made elements and forces. He has designed a number of campuses for national and regional level institutions of research, rehabilitation, healthcare, and education, along with various other buildings. They have won him a number of national, international recognitions, including the highly coveted Arcacia Gold Medal twice, 2 nominations for the Aga Khan Award, A+D Serra Hall of Fame Award, and the JK Great Masters Award, awarded to one senior architect from 11 countries once in 2 years. He has been invited to chair and give talks, slideshows, and conduct design workshops in various professional and educational institutions and in national and international seminars in India and abroad. 2 exhibitions, a film, and a book on his work have been received very well everywhere. Welcome, Shirish Berry, sir. Please.
Hello. Yeah, thank you.
Share your opinion first.
Thank you. And it's nice to be with all friends here. It's very refreshing to learn a few months back from Professor Jayashree Deshpande that COA, along with Abhi, is organizing an international essay writing competition instead of a typical international design competition. So I feel that most architects are hesitant to write, and nowadays they're hesitant to sketch also. But out of the 10 finalists that I read, I found 5 to 6 of them were very good. Not exceptional, but they were good. And I think it's a very good beginning, because I feel that writing does help in bringing about a certain clarity in one's thinking, which is very important as an architect to set one's priorities right. As this was an international competition, it wasn't really necessary for the essays to dwell so much on the historical data of Indian architecture. That's what I felt. They could have discussed the overall capacity of architecture in influencing the entity of any nation as such. But nation in itself is a comparatively very new phenomena in the hundreds and thousands of years of mankind. Whereas holistic space has always been there, and so have human beings, with those emotions, values, and behavioral traits. Architecture too has always been there, maybe in a very basic, mundane form, right from the cave onwards. So what I felt was important was the understanding of the potential architectural space in making of a good humane society. Rather than making stray symbolic iconic gestures like the Taj Mahal or the Eiffel Tower, that do nothing more than giving an identifiable image to that nation. So architecture as practiced today cannot play much of a role in nation building. It has to reach and affect the large population at large. Building and improving people's living, working environments would spontaneously contribute to nation building. Creating spaces that help in connecting people to nature, to their environment, to their fellow humans in a wholesome manner, creating that shared, equitable, inclusive, and unified spaces for people, and thereby generating that much needed goodness in life is would genuinely contribute to nation building. And I hope our profession in COA would strive towards this larger perspective or life. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri sir. I'm sure the participants whom you have judged and gone through their essays, they're honored to be running their essays and thoughts through you. Thank you so much. Now I am honored to introduce architect Rahul Mehrotra, who is an architect, urbanist, and educator. Also, who is the founder principal of RMA Architects and is professor of urban design and planning at the Department of Urban Planning and Design at Harvard University's Graduate School of Design. Rahul has designed projects that range from recycling urban land and master planning in Mumbai to the design of art spaces, boutiques, weekend houses, factories, social institutes, and office buildings across India, thereby engaging diverse issues, multiple constituencies, and varying scales, from interior design and architecture to urban design, conservation, and planning. He studied at the School of Architecture, Ahmedabad, graduated with a master's degree in urban design with distinction from the Graduate School of Design at Harvard in '87. Apart from his engagement with the design of buildings, Rahul has been actively involved in civic and urban affairs in Mumbai, having served on commissions for historic preservation and environmental issues with various neighborhood groups. He has written and lectured extensively on issues to do with architecture, conservation, and urban planning in Mumbai and India. Welcome, Rahul, and thank you so much for accepting our invite to be a jury member without any hesitation.
Thank you, Habil. Thank you, Jayashree. Thanks for this invitation. And it's a real pleasure to see many old friends. So thank you all. I want to just start by saying that it's amazing. I think these are sentiments that Shirish and others also express, that you had a competition for essays and for writing. I had no idea Gemini Mehta was on this jury, but it made me go back to the mid-70s, because when I was at CEPT, I think he was one of the first people who kind of really stressed the importance of theory and writing. And to see him on this jury, these three or four decades later, and to see that we are discussing essays is really quite brilliant. So I think thank you to the council for organizing this, because I think the value of this in discussion and articulation is very important. I want to kind of just place my comments around 2 points. One is in the spirit of feedback, just reading all the essays. And the second is in the spirit of celebrating, I think, what I learned from reading the essays. In the spirit of feedback, I would say that, in my observation, there were two kinds of essays. One was a set of essays which stressed a lot on a historical narrative, and then they reached the end not knowing where to go. And so they were very critical in the way they picked up history, but they left no space for themselves to be propositional. And I think there was another set of essays that managed to calibrate that balance extremely well, where they set up a historic narrative to set up a foundation for what would be their propositional ideas. And so this sort of combination and balance and calibration between being critical and being propositional, even if it is in the medium of writing, is very important. And I think this would be my general feedback, having read many of the essays as part of this process. And I mean that in a very kind of productive way, not in, in just purely a critical way. The second sort of observation is that I think you picked a theme that is complex, that can be looked at in many ways, the role of architecture in nation building. And then from that extends, of course, questions of identity. It extends questions of whose nation and who feels ownership and part of the nation and citizenship, etc. And I think the successful ones were that actually began to nuance that idea of identity more critically. And, a couple stood out for me in that way. One was where I think they took identity and began to nuance it with what was meant by economic identity, by political identity, by social identity, cultural identity. They began to kind of break identity even as a kind of a holistic category into many nuanced terms. Another one extended that by looking at the notion of regional sensibilities towards the formation of identity. And therefore, you begin to move towards a kind of pluralism, which makes the question of identity highly complex. But then I think it becomes productive in the way that architects can have agency in how they can contribute. Because I think identity is not only through the monuments, as again Shirish pointed out, the Eiffel Tower or the Taj Mahal, but it comes at many scales. And identity is really what we as a nation, as a society, as a neighborhood, as a family identify with in terms of values. And so therefore, it's fluid, it's ever evolving. And only by nuancing it like that, one can understand its fluidity, and the architect can place themselves in a position where they can have the agency to construct or to contribute towards constructing that identity, or the spaces where that identity might be expressed. And so I think the few essays that began to deconstruct it in that way, I think for me were the most successful. I want to just end with a observation the political scientist Devesh Kapoor made, where he asked a question in an essay, is what should the state, meaning the nation, look like? And he argued that it again is across scales, all the way from the little high school to the police thana to the little small causes court in small villages, in small towns. And we unfortunately put too much premium and too much space to discuss the monumental. The parliament, for example, has just become so central. But identity doesn't get constructed of a nation just through a single monument or architecture, but has to be looked in this broader, much more nuanced way. And then that's when I think architecture would have agency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rahul, for that insightful thoughts. I'm tempted to ask you a question. Do you think, after going through the entries that the essays that you judged, do you think of the future of architecture in our country is in safe hands?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was actually very impressed. We read the shortlisted, applicants, but even that is a very good sample, because I think Jayashree read out the names of the panelists who did the first vetting of the 900, all incredible people who earned respects. So I think we saw a very good sampling, and it was very impressive. I think the complexity in thinking, I think, like I said, I think them recognizing the reality, them recognizing the reality of contemporary India, them recognizing the reality of the pluralism that we exist as part of and that we must build. It was all very heartening. It wasn't a very singular or a dogmatic approach to understanding a question like this. I was very optimistic and very thrilled reading these.
That's good. That's good to hear. Thank you, Rahul. I have pleasure in introducing Dr. A. Srivatsan, who is an architectural scholar with more than 25 years of cumulative experience in teaching, architectural and developmental research, and professional practice. Some of his major research projects include Hampi, the Indian Digital Heritage Research Project as part of a larger team, Department of Science and Technology Initiative, Re-envisioning the City research funded under Indo-Dutch Program on Alternatives in Development, Mega Cities Project, and his publications include books and papers in reputed journals. Before joining his role as the Executive Director of CAU, Srivatsan served as the Academic Director of CEPT for 5 years, where he worked closely with the deans and the heads of academic offices to refine academic policies and practices, to strengthen academic rigor and deepen the culture of research at CEPT University. Prior to that, he has been associated with The Hindu as Senior Deputy Editor, while serving as adjunct faculty at Asian College of Journalism and at School of Architecture and Planning, Anna University, both in Chennai. Prior to this, he was assistant professor at Anna University, Chennai for 10 years. He has also been a practicing architect for 8 years. He is an active member of various institutional bodies, contributing to the development of new academic programs and introducing new courses. Srivatsan holds a PhD from Indian Institute of Technology, along with the master's degree in urban design from School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi. Welcome, Professor Srivatsan.
Thank you, Habib, and thank you, Jayashree. Very happy to see many friends and even tutors. It's a great initiative. Building on Rahul's comments, my observations are as follows. The topic.
Srivatsan, can you be a little louder? Can you be a little louder?
Building on Rahul's comments, I have a couple of things to say about the topic and the writings. First, the topic was not easy, but though it appeared as something easier. Given that complexity, I must appreciate all those who have bravely attempted to take some position or the other, and that's a good effort. Some have predictably worked with established ideas, identifying nation with state, and all those who stuck to that idea saw architecture as an instrument building state. But those who saw nation outside the state were those who could actually push the idea of what architecture is and could do, other than more than others. So there were two clear kinds of essays. In terms of writing, I must say it was a mixed bag. Some were really exceptional, some were struggling. So some had great ideas, some were yet to develop them. Some were clearly written, well narrated and argued, more importantly, well substantiated. But a few began well, but lost their way. What the essays tell me is that the architects are not well trained into, at least in education and training. One, the importance given to written communication, how express a point of view, take a position, argue. And second is the grounding in significant social such as national, etc. I felt this even acutely because the topic was something like that. It was heavily politically grounded, so I was expecting some level of grounding. But however, I must say that these are things that can be easily fixed. And in that context, I see this award very important, because in a discipline known to privilege only drawings, probably for the first time, from a very important collective organization, written communication is important. That's what this award conveys. I really appreciate this. I'm sure in years to come, this will probably reach the culture and practice of writing, and through that would eventually strengthen the discourse and thus the support. Thanks again, and congratulations to all the participants and the winners who will be announced shortly.
Thank you, Srivatsan. Thank you for those words. Now I'm honored to introduce Professor Jaimini Mehta. Every time you meet him, you invigorate yourself, and it's such a learning to be with him in whatever way you meet him. He is a practicing architect and an academician based in Baroda. He studied architecture at MS University of Baroda and at the University of Pennsylvania in the Louis Kahn studio. He went on to work in the offices of Louis Kahn and Michel Giorgola Associate in Philadelphia. Returning back to India in 1975, he set up his own practice and taught at a number of Indian as well as American universities. He was an adjunct professor at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute at Troy, New York, and at CEPT University in Ahmedabad. He also worked as heads of the schools of architecture at Baroda and Goa. At present, he is the honorary director of the Baroda-based Center for the Study of Urbanism and Architecture, which he instituted in 2006. He contributes regularly in the ongoing discourse on architecture through articles in Indian as well as international journals. Among his many writings is the book Louis I. Kahn Architect, who authored with Romualdo Giorgola and published in 1975. His book Rethinking Modernity Towards Post-Rational Architecture was published in 2011, and Embodied Vision Interpreting the Architecture of Fatehpur Sikri was published in October 2014. His latest book, Critiquing the Modern in Architecture is published in October 2017. Gemini sir, welcome. We're waiting for your comments. So we can't hear you. You're not audible. You'll have to unmute yourself once again. Yeah. No, we can't hear you, sir. Jayashree, can you hear Professor
No, sir.
Janvi?
No, sir, he's not audible.
Janvi, sir, we can't hear you.
No, we can't hear you, sir.
There's some. I think, Sandeep, can you help Janvi, sir, log out and log in again so that probably the audio will come back?
Yes, I'll look into this.
Meanwhile, Gemini sir, just hold on for a while. I think there's some audio connectivity issues at your end. So you have to log off and log in again. So probably the audio would come. Meanwhile, we'll go to Professor Neelkanth Chhaya. Professor Neelkanth Chhaya, who couldn't join us today for some other appointments that he was busy with, has been an academic and practicing architect for nearly 40 years. He has taught at the University of Nairobi, the Institute of Environmental Design at Vallabh Vidyanagar, and was a faculty member at CEP University for 25 years. He retired as Dean of the Faculty of Architecture at CEP University in 2013. Subsequently, he has been an adjunct faculty at the Srishti School of Design and also holds the position of academic chair at the Goa College of Architecture. His professional practice, spanning over 30 years, has dealt with institutional and residential projects across India. His practice has won many architectural design competitions and has also won national awards for completed projects. The practice is focused on culturally and environmentally appropriate design and has emphasized innovative applications of local skills and materials. He has been invited to be a member of several committees connected to the built environment and is coordinator of the architectural documentation work of the Gandhi Heritage Sites. He is a regular speaker at conferences in India and abroad. He is a member of the board of Hunarshala and Khamir Craft Resource Center, both of which are involved in empowering traditional knowledge and sustainable practices. We are missing Professor Chhaya today, but he has very kindly sent us a note, which I request Professor Jayashree to kindly read his note out.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, Jayashree, please go ahead.
I will read out the note sent to me by Professor Chhaya. It says that I read the essays sent to me with great interest. Overall, the participants wrote with fluency and thoughtfulness. I congratulate the winners of the competition. However, I feel it may not be out of place to say a few words about how participants responded to the theme of the relationship between architecture and nation building. The notion of a nation is complex, and nation building will therefore be an equally complex process. Relate architecture to this, and you get an extremely difficult set of questions to think about. Questions such as what is nation building? Does it consist of tangible achievements or does it also include intangible aspects? Can architecture belong to a nation? Will every nation, however we define it, need a singular and distinct architecture? Is it the role of architecture to express or suggest notions of a national identity, or should works of architecture seek to approach larger, more universal human questions? At a time when we are beginning to understand the interconnectedness of all existence, the very notion of a national identity may have to be thought afresh. Similarly, in an era of degradation of ecosystems, the notions of development to which some ideas of nation building are connected may need to be rethought. Both Tagore and Gandhi have written about these matters with great sensitivity and clarity. None of the essays that I read indicated or even hinted at this understanding about both the terms name and architecture. This may suggest that our thinking processes are bogged down in conventionally propagated ideas, and we may want to give a thought to how we could remedy this. This is what Professor Chaya had to say about the entries that he evaluated and his observation about the overall content of the work.
Yeah, on behalf of the council, we'd like to thank him for being kind enough to send us the note. Professor Jemini Mehta has joined. Professor Jemini, can you address us now? Can you hear us? I don't think he is still, right? There's some connectivity issue.
Sir, you need to unmute yourself. Gemini, sir. So you can see the mic option in the bottom tab. You can just click that option and you can unmute. Still not coming. So are you having any headphones there, Gemini, sir? Yeah, you can attach
Sandeep,
the headphone
meanwhile,
and then yeah. Yes,
Sandeep,
sir,
by
go
the
ahead.
time you please call him up and sort
Yes,
it
sir,
out.
I'm
And
looking into this.
I think
Yes.
Mr. Vijay Soni Professor Vijay Soni has joined in. Soni sir, can you hear us? Professor Vijay Soni? I think we'll get them as soon as the connectivity issues are resolved at their end. Jayashree, please take over now to the next part of the program.
Soni sir, Habib sir, Soni sir has sent a little message because he seems to think that there could be a problem for him to join. Would you like me to read it out, or
Yeah,
maybe
please. Yeah.
Soni sir is here now, so should we take it over to him and then
Yeah.
come back? I think
If you're able to take on Gemini sir, I think that should be first.
yes.
Could you
Because
hear me now?
on the jury members. Gemini sir, yes. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, all right. I'm hearing this less. Okay. First of all, let me thank Council of Architecture, Habib and Jayashree for this initiative. As all my students know, and Rahul has sort of hinted at this, I have been an advocate of critical thinking being developed for architecture. I always believe that an architect should also be a scholar architect. My inspiration for that comes from my reading of the Sanskrit definition of architect, which says that Sapati Sthapanartha Syata Sarvashastra Visharada. He must be well versed in all forms of knowledge. I architecture at Baroda by bunking some classes like structures, etc., and attending literature, economics, anthropology, arts, etc. And my head of the department knew about it and looked the other way when I was late for my design review, so long as I did all my assignments. In any case, that has given me a background and a kind of an understanding that we do need to develop, in addition to the design attitude, a critical thinking attitude that actually gives a sense and a method of judging what is the right thing we do and why we do that. This is very important for architects to do that. And we have always, all the schools that I have been involved with, have that kind of a program that has actually resulted in much better development of the architect as a person, not just a problem solver, but somebody who can think about where the problems come from. Having said that, I have two comments. One, of course, on the feedback about the lot of essays that I have read. I felt that there were some essays which impressed me, which had sort of deviated substantially from the actual theme. The theme talked about role of architecture in nation building. To me, nation building involves creation and preservation of institutions. And institution building is something else altogether. Architecture, on the other hand, is involved in representation of what we stand for as a nation or any nation and what we aspire to be. Our role as an art, like any art, is representational. And I think there are 2 or 3 essays that I read which had touched upon that notion of what is the identity of this nation? What do we aspire for? What do we aspire to be? Right now, going through some research for my next book, and I come across Habib Rahman's work. And I'm really impressed that Habib Rahman started more or less the same time India became independent. And throughout his career, if you see the work that he has done, it actually shows a sequence of events that begins to talk about what does it mean to be an Indian. One comment I have, and I think I have already reported to Jayashree, is that the topic itself was done in such a way that it made a lot of students or young architects talk about nation building. And that actually resulted into a lot of the essays talking about what we are not doing or what this should be done, etc., rather than actually looking at the way architecture could contribute. And so that was a kind of a problem that I faced in that. Other than that, I'm very much impressed by this initiative, and I think it should be taken up. I think it should be taken up by all schools of architecture. It's part of the pedagogy to have some kind of a thinking process inculcated in all our schools. Architect is also a scholar. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Gemini sir, for your words are pearls of wisdom for all of us. And I'm sure the institutes will learn from the initiative that the council has taken and also from whatever you have said, it should become a part of architectural pedagogy. Thank you so much for taking out time and taking efforts to critique and judge the essays. Thank you. Jayashree, over to you.
Sir, Sohani sir has sent us a message.
Right,
Should
please.
I read it out on his behalf?
Yeah.
Professor and Architect Vijay Sohani, past President, Council of Architecture, sends a message to us for this program because he's unable to connect himself. He says, congratulations for a successful conduct of a celebration of youth. Special congratulations to Habib and his team for getting the minimum standards of architecture education 2020 passed. Now, maybe they can look at updating the professional conduct regulation of 1989. Congratulations to the winners and the participants and best wishes for all future endeavors. That is from Sohani sir to all of us today.
Thank you, Sohani sir, for taking out time and being with us. We are honored. Jayashree.
Yes, sir. I think now we can go to the much awaited part of the program, which is the announcement of the winners. I will invite our jury member to please declare the winners in various categories. We begin with the students category first. I would invite architect Shirish Beri to please announce the name of the essay and the author who have been selected for special mention in the students category. Shirish Beri, sir.
Yes. The special mention award in the students category goes to Shreya Kejriwal from the Faculty of Architecture, Sarvajanik College of Engineering, Surat. Congratulations, Shreya.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your gesture.
Thank you, sir. Shreya's essay is titled State of Reflection, Architecture and Nation Building. Shreya, are you there? Can you please unmute yourself and present a gist of your essay? Shreya?
What's the secret?
Shreya is with us actually. Shreya, can you hear us?
Alright.
No, it appears that she's not able to connect, but maybe we can move on to the next announcement. The entry to secure the third position in the students category would be announced. I request architect Madhav Joshi to please announce the name of the winner.
Hello. The students category, third position. The topic is role of architecture in nation building. There are two authors. They have jointly presented their essay. The authors are Muskan Jain and Vishwesh Agnihotri. Congratulations, both of them.
College.
College name? Madhav sir, will you?
Yeah, I missed out on the college name, sorry.
The School of Planning and Architecture, New Delhi.
New Delhi.
Yes, SPN.
SPN New Delhi. Thank you, Madhav sir. Muskan Jain and Vishesh Agnihotri are both with us. Can you please unmute yourself, Muskan? Yes.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Please put on your video also.
Yeah, sure.
Let us see her also.
Vishesh is also here with us.
Yes, Vishesh Agnihotri and Muskan Jain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Vishesh Agnihotri for us.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you everyone for having me here. So, very pleasant evening to everyone connected with us here. First, big thanks to COA Social for this platform that they have given us through which we can put forward our ideas through and thoughts to you all and the larger world out there. So, we have been asked to present an abstract of our essay. To begin with, we formulated some key questions that our essay springs off from. The three W's we call them. First, who decides to build a nation or who all are involved in nation building? The community or just the people in power? Secondly, what is denoted by it? Is the scope limited to some landmark construction events that saw the formulation of these big bulky dots as buildings on the Indian map? Or is it a much more subtle day-to-day activity? And third, what are the different strands on which the nation is actually built upon? If concerns in architecture fraternity about nation building are just from an infrastructure point of view, they are bound to meet complexes. Nation building has much more intangible aspects like a nation's intellectual state, its economical state, its emotional state, its social state, and the like. These are often seen in so minuscule an intervention that they can go easily unnoticed in the development agendas. And thus, our essay deeply concerns itself with such faceless aspects, quote unquote, in building a nation. Over to Muskan.
Thank you everyone for having me here. We have taken on an exploratory approach through various examples rather than making a theoretical argument. Through these studied fragments, our essay establishes a link between different aspects connecting a nation, like intellectual, social, and emotional. India is the largest democracy in the world, and these aspects are truly democratic in nature. They talk about the architecture of the community, the architecture of the people, and our true spirit of nation building. Our essay explores this nexus of architecture and democracy through a case study of Dharavi. the unslamming slums of Mumbai. The faceless urban vernacular, which is though the lifeline of the city, is often overlooked upon. This attitude essentially raises a big question about the power dynamics in a nation and about how architecture of life is overshadowed by the architecture which is big, broad, and beautiful. Thank you. We would be concluding here.
Thank you, Muskan. And congratulations to both of you. Congratulations, Muskan and Vishesh. These two together have secured the third position in the students category and have won the cash prize of 10,000 rupees plus a certificate of merit. Congratulations once more.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much,
Thank you so
ma'am.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. I would now request Architect Gemini Mehta to please announce the winner at the second position in the students category. Gemini Mehta, sir, can you connect?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Is this young architect category or the student category?
The student category. The student.
I was given the information about young architect category.
No,
I'm
sir.
sorry.
No, sir. No, sir. You have the students in a different mail.
I have an email that says that second position in young architect category.
The email after that, sir. Another email after that.
Okay. Okay, fine. Fine, I got it. Sorry about that. I'm not that tech savvy as some of you are.
No issues.
Okay. The second prize for the student category goes to Ashni Jain and Dennis Roderick. Their title is Architecture for Holistic Nation Designing. Congratulations, Ashni, Dennis.
Thank you so much, sirs and ma'ams. It's a great honor to even be here on this platform, let alone win a prize over here. May we present our abstract now?
Yes, Ashni and Dennis are both students of the Sushant School of Art and Architecture at Gurgaon. Please present.
Thank you, ma'am. The write-up views nation building through the lens of the individual as well as the community's effect on and influence from all spheres of interaction. This includes the immediate surroundings, the community, culture, identity, memory, ecology, and aspirations, both personal and national. Commencing with the apparent physicality of built spaces, architecture can be defined as the amalgamation of inherent culture, historical, and aspirational qualities, without which space exists without value. Architecture creates powerful identities that bind together the diversity in a nation while contributing to a holistic growth. A democratic approach is the adhesive for the multi-layered community. It not only pays homage to the evolution of historical architecture, but to the relationship that people have had with it. Architecture also demands to look at a promising future through integration of technology that is mutually beneficial to the ecology. Nation building cannot take place without the undeniable presence of sensitized architecture that generates a wholesome daily experience for all current and future generations. Architecture is that tool which has the potential to integrate diverse fields while simultaneously addressing problems. It embraces the potential of national development with a holistic, spiritual, and rational edge. Therefore, the architecture for a nation should encompass within it capacity to inspire its users, providing a platform for reflection, inspiration, and introspection, transforming nation building into nation designing. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It was an extreme honor to be judged by such an esteemed panel of jurors. And thank you very much. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashni and Dennis. And congratulations to both of you for having secured the second position. Ashni and Dennis, win a cash prize of 15,000 rupees between the two of them, and will get a certificate of merit from the Council of Architecture. In addition, all the winners would be invited to share a video on the Fieldway social platform. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we come to the top position or the first position in the students category. I will request Honorable President, Council of Architecture, Habib sir, to please announce the name of the topper.
The first position in the students category are Asmita Patnaik and Savli Tikle from Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute of Architecture, Mumbai.
First prize.
And the first prize. Can you hear me? The
Yes,
first
yes.
prize and the title
And
of the
lucky for
essay is
you.
Rediscovering Identities, a discourse between the prevalent, perceived and the desired.
Ekdam chup.
Asmita Patnaik and Savli Tikle.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, you are.
Yeah. So our essay talks about the rediscovering identities, a discourse between the prevalent, perceived, and the desire, and how the role of architecture in nation building has evolved, and critiques on what are the inspirations of the new India, and how has architecture generated narratives of growth and identity that correspond to a neighborhood, a city, a state, and then the idea of belonging to a nation at large. While nation building is a multi-layered, evolving idea which shapes how we feel about our country, the desire for building this identity came at a turning point, with the Nehruvian vision of breaking away from the past towards this modern India during independence. The paper inquires whether today, in the process of creating this new structure that aligns with our perceived idea of modernization, is the socio-cultural identity of India somehow overlooked? And what is then the meaning of a progressive nation? Does our idea of progress lie in participatory, contextual, yet innovative, scalable design concepts? Or are we as architects merely surrendering to the creation of formally disciplined build spaces? Over to you, Savli.
So having put forth the rhetoric of the previously said question, the urban transformation seems to be a growing concern within the second and the third tier cities, which are driving towards the allegory of developing as the next Mumbai or Delhi, with the idea of problem becoming the planning paradigm, while the first tier cities are constantly trying to ape towards the idea which are influenced by the developed nation. So here, the prioritization of an integrated urban form that creates transparent layers of identity from the past barely exists, and then the planning, in some sense, sort of stops maturing. Having said that, for example, taking the example of Chandigarh in the post-independence period, seems like a seminal attempt to use modern architecture, creating a capital capable of symbolizing the progress and conveying historic and national identity, which though has a vision of creating a new city, it's somehow brushed off from the past. So in this process, the encouragement towards creating buildings in turn that led to blind eye towards the fine-grained fabric of Indian neighborhoods, its responses the climate, the topography, the typology, basically the ideas that lean towards contextual building. So as a conclusionary approach, the abstract primarily talks about the lens through which nation building today could be reimagined and perceived without having a one-size-fits-all a paradigm of development. Though considering the fact that there are a great deal of parameters and hierarchy and related to the complex term of development, the core idea of context responsiveness and building cities over cities could possibly be adapted, where we aim at a participatory approach that is suitable for modern India, which then eventually influences the great nation building and defines its true meaning. Thank you. That was the entire gist of our abstract.
Thank you so much for the platform.
Thank you, Asmita and Sauli. I would actually like to give a big round of applause for all these winners, but I'm not too sure how that happens on the virtual platform. So, so maybe a big clap if you can hear me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Asmita and Sauli have between them won a cash prize of 25,000 and a certificate of excellence for their attempt at the essay. Congratulations, both of you, and congratulations to all the
Thank you.
winners of the student section. Now we move on to the second category, and that is the young architects category. I will invite architect Shirish Berry to please declare the name of the entry and the author, which has secured a special mention in the young architect category.
Yes, in the young architects category, the special mention award goes to architect Sneha Khulge from Mumbai for her paper, A Faceted Identity, An Illusion in the Making. Congratulations, Sneha.
Thank you. Hello. Hi. Good evening, everyone. The essay that I penned down for the competition is titled A Faceted Identity and an Illusion in the Making, which talks about authoritarian representation of architecture for constructing identities. So essentially, architecture follows the aspirations, the fantasies, the dreams, and the interests of the elite and the dominant. It in many ways forms the physical representation of power. The conceptualization of these representations is deeply rooted in our socio-cultural constructs and that we subconsciously build and imbibe. The essay traces various instances of how architecture plays an instrumental role to establish, reinforce, or secure identity of a neighborhood, a city, or a nation. Through various realms, the notions of constructing identities are delayered to realize the thought process behind them. To understand the conceptual approaches adopted to establish an identity, the essay looks into scenarios of various scales and contexts and to see how the notion of authority creeps in the domain of capital cities, the parliamentary complexes, the public spaces such as waterfronts and neighborhood parks, and the gated communities. These examples further allow to investigate the possible discrepancies in the authoritarian representation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sneha.
Thank you.
And congratulations for securing the position of special mention. Here, I would like to say that Sneha would be awarded a cash prize of 5,000 rupees initiated by architect Shirish Berry and will also receive a certificate of appreciation. Thank you, Sneha. I would now request Dr. Srivatsan to please declare the winner of the third position in the Young Architects category. Dr. Srivatsan, please.
The essay to win the third position is titled Integral. The author is Subhai. He's from Purba Burdwan, West Bengal.
Thank you, sir. May I repeat for the benefit of everybody else? The title of the essay is Architecture and Nation Building, Integrating Regional Sentiment into a National Identity. The author is Shubhan Moda. He hails from Purba Bardhaman in West Bengal. Shubhan, can you
Yes,
please
ma'am.
present your work?
Am I audible?
Yes, very much.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks to Council of Architecture for this opportunity and a special vote of thanks for extending the deadline for 2 more days for East India participants. That's why I could participate. I haven't given a specific, I haven't prepared anything specific, but I think I'll talk about the various models. So there has been subsequent a lot of discussion on nation building and the identity of nation, but I guess I'll talk about the two models of nation building that I've covered, and those are constructive and deconstructive nation building. As the name suggests, constructive is actually building on the past aspects of whatever our previous people have done, and deconstructive is something in where we try to break down that past and we get to, or rather we try to create a new identity. I'll not go into many examples, but I'll take two examples of what's happening. If we take the Notre Dame de Paris incident, what happened recently, it was destroyed by fire. And in that, what happened is that there was a discussion about whether to make it completely new, whether to implement new stuff and do a proper design, or whether to take it back, say inch by inch, to the old design. And in that, what we are seeing is that people, architects, and means people from all sort of the profession, they prefer that it is restored originally to whatever it was. And in that, the choice of material has been wood and not, say, modern materials like steel and other stuff. So what we can see is that in essence it is also nation building, or rather nation rebuilding, because the essence of the Paris lies a lot on that. So that is one example of constructive nation building. On the other hand, deconstructive nation building, I'm not trying to be political, but if you can see the current Central Vista project, it is kind of something that is being deconstructed. Now, when it comes to nation building, elite consciousness is something that plays an active role. I believe when Chandigarh came to existence, it is not Le Corbusier who actually figured out that, yeah, we need something like Chandigarh, but it was Nehru who actually thought about it. And then Chandigarh came into existence because Le Corbusier enabled it. The same is with, say, the parliament thing that was done back in the British time. It was commissioned by the British, and it was, implemented by Harbert and Baker. Lutyens and Baker. Apart from that, if you see right now the burning project of Central Vista, so it is the brainchild of our Prime Minister currently, and it has been implemented, or it is being implemented by an architect of our country. So what we are seeing is that there means, excuse my pragmatic tone, but I couldn't find a direct relationship between nation building and architects or architecture. Rather, what's happening is that it's all the reflection of elite consciousness. So what the government wants to do, what the people in power wants us to build, we are building. And while that can be called as nation building, I cannot go forward and say that we have an exclusive hold in that domain. Coming back to the 21st century nation building, and I have to say this because I am a student of rural management now, I guess 21st century nation building is all about building the rural India. It's all about making vernacular identities great again. Well, taking a cue from President Donald Trump there. Our cities are built, well built, say overbuilt, or whatever you can call, but we have never actually decentralized our focus from the urban hubs to the rural hubs. That is something that we need to do. If we need to keep architecture relevant, or if we need to keep architecture as a part of nation building, I believe it's time that architects are made a mandatory thing, or rather architects' involvements are made mandatory in buildings, so that we can give our input in each and every building that we can. For the policies of future, I have laid down certain parts, but I wouldn't be going through them. I'd end with one particular instance of a very influential nation building that I believe took place long time back through the hands of Kavi Guru Rabindranath Tagore. Yes, sir. I think, sir, Mehrotra sir, because I am a student of rural management, I am having this focus in the word rural, but definitely, yes, with changing geographies, I don't say, I believe that 50 years down the line, we will not be able to differentiate between the urban and rural. But for the present, I guess for the coming 10 years, I guess we have to focus on building rural India. Apart from that, coming back to Rabindranath Tagore, I guess a genuine aspect of nation building happened when he set up Shantiniketan. That is actually internationally renowned seat of education. What I'm trying to say is that it's not just buildings that make a nation, it's institutions, it's individuals, it's ideas, and it's ideologies. And to conclude, as architects, what our role should be, what our role has to be, is not just in buildings, not just building buildings, but to also hold the vernacular identities. We have to hold our own identity is very dear, and we have to integrate all the regional sentiments that we have and make it all into one single identity that's called India. So I guess that's all from my side. Thank you for the award. I'm genuinely blessed. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Shubham. I think Rahul was going to ask you some questions. Rahul, you can ask questions if you wanted to ask
No,
Shubham.
no, sorry. No, I didn't have any questions. I think this was a very good essay, and I think he's articulated the contents of his work very well. Thank you.
He did interview me on a platform. It was so scheduled to be an hour long, but it went 2 hours because his thoughts were so insightful. We had a 2.5 hour long interview. Very, very sharp mind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shubhan. And you mentioned before you started to present that you were able to join into the competition because of the extension. I would like to clarify to our viewers and everybody else that at the time that when we had announced the deadline for submission of entries, West Bengal and the East Coast was hit by a cyclone. And there were several mails which came to me saying that we should extend the deadline of submission. At that point, Habib sir agreed and we extended the deadline only for the eastern region by 2 days. And that permitted Shubhan to submit is what he's saying. I'm so glad that you could submit and you were able to secure this position. Congratulations.
There were more than five to 6 calls a day to extend the deadline.
Yes, I remember, sir. Shubhan gets a cash prize of 10,000 rupees and a certificate of merit in addition to a video clip. Congratulations, Shubhan, once more. And we now move on to the declaration of the second position in the Young Architects category. I would request Architect Rahul Malhotra to please announce the winner.
Thank you. The second position in the Young Architects category goes to the essay titled Untitled, The Role of Architecture in Nation Building. And the authors are Rupal Rathore and Veer Shah, and they are from the city of Bhuvna in Rajasthan. So may I request them to now read their abstract.
Hello,
Yes, Veer.
am I audible?
Yes, you are.
First of all, thank you so much for the prize, and thank you so much to COA for providing us with a platform and giving us the opportunity to put out our thoughts and ideas through this platform. So I'll move forward to the abstract of our essay. Our essay in the Young Architects category is called Untitled, implying that the role that architecture plays in the nation building process is largely open-ended and constantly evolving. Nation building processes around the world have been studied and critiqued in their physicality, following the trajectory of infrastructure and economic growth. However, these processes also include the parallel instilling of the spirit of nationhood in its people, the spirit of belongingness and responsibility, of cooperation and collectivity. Architecture is the medium of communicating multiple ideologies that coexist to make a nation, also being the mirror that reflects the actualities of society, its successes and failures. The role of architecture is that of carving possibilities. Hello?
Veer, we lost you for a minute there.
Yeah. Am I audible? Am I visible now?
Yes, audible and visible.
Yeah.
Please
So,
go on.
the role of architecture is that of carving possibilities of the future without disrupting links with the past. It materializes hopes and dreams and records tragedies and it helps preserve as well as erase. As India attempts to resolve issues that have roots in the pre-independence era, architecture is also seen as the medium of construction and deconstruction of conflict. Essentially seen as a physical changemaker, architecture choreographs people, psychologies, shapes worldviews, and creates aspirations. It is through spatial morphologies that we are able to develop perceptions relative to our immediate surroundings and the country at large. Since India's strength as a nation lies in its diversity of terrain, climate, and natural life, which in turn has created offshoots of distinct cultures, it must use its architecture to harmoniously maintain and complement this richness. Rigorous dialogues critiquing its existing role and defining potentialities of the future will render the process of nation building to become more humanized and ease some of its contradictions. Rupal will take over from here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that I am from Udaipur and Veer is from Ahmedabad. Okay, our essay goes
Thanks,
on to identify some broader domains where architecture has a significant role to play. The first is for sincere participation of the people in nation building. Architecture must invoke our ancestral roots and pull out cultural threads from the surviving specimens of ancient times. Second, temporal and transient articulations of space are often dismissed as hindrances to projecting of an image to our global contemporaries. However, architecture's disassociation with such informal mechanisms of the city results in critically hazardous and volatile living conditions. Third, the concentration of architectural practices in cities and towns presents the profession as a highly urban phenomenon, detached from the slow morphing of Indian villages. Participatory schemes that ensure economic viability in the continuation of farming practices and vernacular crafts must be supported by sustainable built spaces. Fourth, cities allow us to assume individualistic identities and shed the baggage of the multiple labels we are born with and conditioned to possess. Cities are also conglomerations where the country's talent collects and builds expertise and can hence be thought of as the building blocks of a nation. The architecture in cities must be designed to accommodate pluralistic identities, changing lifestyle patterns, and social needs. The last point is new cities are like laboratories for experimentation in architecture, grounds to test theories and concepts that best suit the context. For a nation to progress, these experiments are crucial and as non negotiable as those in the fields of medicine, agriculture, and technology. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rupal, and thank you, Veer, for presenting your work. Rupal and Veer, between them, have secured the second position in the Young Architect category and have won a cash prize of 15,000 rupees and a certificate of merit. Congratulations to both of you. We now go on to the last declaration of the day and the much awaited announcement of the first position in the Young Architects category. May I request Honorable Vice President, Council of Architecture, Architect Sapna, to please announce the winner.
Thank you, Jayashree. Good evening, everyone. The first position in Young Architect category goes to Shairi Kamble and Rohit Dhable from Mumbai, Maharashtra. And title of the essay, Role of Architecture in Nation Building. May I request Shairi and Rohit to share their abstract?
Thank you, ma'am. Shairi and Rohit, are you there? Oh, that's sad. Both of them seem to have logged out and they are not there just now. But together, between the two of them, Shairi and Rohit have won the first position in the Young Architects category of this competition and have won a cash award of 25,000 rupees and a certificate of excellence. We would have loved to hear from these two, but unfortunately, they seem to have logged out and we are not able to connect with them. I think that brings us to the end of this round of declarations. Once again, I would like to applaud the winners and give a big round of applause on the virtual platform. Thank you so much, everybody. There have been several comments on the YouTube channel. Everybody has congratulated the winner. We have architect Pushkar Kanvende, a member of the council, who says congratulations to all the winners. We have architect J. Manoharan, who says the initiative has not only ignited the minds of young students of architecture, but rewarded them with coveted recognition across nations and overseas. Congratulations, dear students. There are several such comments which are congratulating all the winners. So on behalf of our viewers on YouTube and on this platform too, I extend a congratulations to all the winners of the awards. This brings us to almost the end of the program, but there is one part of the award which we have missed out, and that is the video clip or the interview which the winners would be invited to share on the COA social platform. I would now invite Architect Rakesh Pushpa, the convener of COA Social, to please say a few words about the social initiative and invite the winners. Rakesh.
Thank you so much, ma'am. In line with present council and president's vision, we all realize that Council of Architecture needs to play a more proactive role in strengthening the field of architecture in the country. The role of social media in education, practice, social awareness, and perception is very important in society. COA Social is one of such outreach initiative of council and is being established as a web-based engagement between Council of Architecture, architects, students, and general public. The idea is to join hands to host talks, lectures, debates, dialogues, exhibitions, and awards to promote awareness about architecture. Considering that large part of architects in India now are youngsters, we are working on ways to nurture and promote talent, and this has been a baby step in this direction. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and like you all know, we just started our YouTube channel. Our team will connect with these winners to put together videos about their thoughts and ideas, which we will share on social media handles. On behalf of COA Social, I sincerely thank all eminent jurors for supporting our little effort here. Thank you so much. Stay tuned to COA Social for more interesting talks and events. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh, sir. Thank you so much. COA Social has been really playing a great role in connecting the architecture fraternity over all kinds of topics of discussion. Thank you so much. I would now request the Vice President of Council of Architecture, Architect Sapna, to please propose the vote of thanks. Sapna, ma'am.
Thank you, Jayashri. Today is an eventful day as India is celebrating its 74th Independence Day, and happy Independence Day to everyone. Today in Council of Architecture, Training Research Center, we are celebrating freedom of thought and expression by concluding our International Essay Writing Competition 2020. As already mentioned, we had about 926 entries and 48 jurors in all. I would like to thank our esteemed jurors for giving their valuable time. It's been rightly said, winning is something, but participation is everything. So I would like to thank all the participants of this competition. And of course, once again, congratulations to all the winners. And I would like to thank our former presidents of Council of Architecture, Professor Vijay Soni ji, Architect P.R. Mehta ji, Professor Uday Gadkari ji. And on the behalf of Council of Architecture, I would like to thank our audience for joining us and supporting our COA TRC platform. And we are thankful to Professor Director TRC for her timeless efforts in organizing this event. And thank you so much, our COA social team and all the persons behind this scene for making this event possible. So may I request everyone to stand and join in National Anthem. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am.
तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशिष मांगे गाए सब जय गाथा जन गण मंगल गान भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय जय जय
Thank you so much, everyone. We now declare that the program has concluded. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
please remain connected with us at all times as you have
Thank you.
always done.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.